guys, welcome to the People First podcast. And I have a very special guest today. Now, I'm going to go let him introduce himself, but we have Adam here. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Adam. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. Good. Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me here today.
No, you're welcome. I'm excited for our conversation. For the last year, I've watched your growth and development, and I have been thoroughly impressed. So
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to hear about your story, not only in business, but in who you are as a personal brand. Okay, that's something we want to work on this year, right?
Correct.
So, without me boring your audience who have tuned in to listen to you, could you please tell me a little about yourself?
Yeah, so myself, my name's Adam. I currently run a couple of businesses in the events industry. I'm blessed to have a business partner on board now with that. I've spent the last few years working on that, but before that, I was kind of traveling the world. I spent my time chasing countries, chasing experiences, following all those types of different paths. And then, so kind of come back into the world of Australia. And then I kind of had to make a decision, like, what am I actually going to do with my time now? That is something that I wanted to do.
So two things I want to stop before we move any further. Can I have that pen? Thanks. Because I find it very interesting. The first thing is the two events businesses that you have, management businesses. What are they called?
There's actually kind of five.
He meant five in the intro.
Yeah, sorry. So, I started off as the Ultimate Occasion, which is an event styling company. And then my best friend owns Wish Dust Balloons. So she was the partnered up there. We kind of got a warehouse together, and then our business kind of started growing. So it made sense for us to kind of join forces. And then we started a new company called Ivory Stone Collective. Now, Ivory Stone Collective now owns Ultimate Occasion and Wish Dust Balloons. But because I can't help myself, we started two other businesses as well. So we've got Ultimate Neon Signs, which is a higher range of signs like that, and Rogue Prop Design. So we do a lot of backdrops, plinths, things like that for all types of birthdays and events. So I now have a building company on board, and I design, they build, we sell.
Wow.
So it's kind of touching bases, extensions of where I started.
Yeah, wow. That is massive. I want to go all the way back to how this started, right? We're going to get back to how all this started, but to have five. And how long have you been open? 2 years at most, right? Not even.
2 years, definitely 2 years. But the first year was a bit of a write-off. We went through one lockdown period, so I'd never had that full first 12 month of operational time. So coming off, the November before last, that year and a couple of months was really our first year.
Yep. Take me back. Take me back to who you are as a person, because I think that all of this stems from who you are, who Adam is. So I want to go back. I want to go back before all the businesses, before traveling the world and chasing your dreams and moving around for looking for happiness and fulfillment. Who were you as a kid? Where did you grow up? I think we've touched on how old you are.
I am 26 years old.
A baby.
I'm getting up there, getting older every day.
Yep. So take us all the way back. So
okay, cool.
Where did you grow up? What type of lifestyle did you live as a child, and so on and so on? Fill me in.
Okay, sweet. So take it all the way back to the OG days. I was born in Sydney. It was my mum and I for a few years there. So we definitely bounced around a little bit, and then eventually ended up with my mum at my grandparents' house, and that was out west here in Penrith. We were set up there for a good few years, and then eventually, I got my stepdad, and then we kind of started to move a bit more for his work. So we went around Sydney. I went up to Queensland for a few years. Actually, take it back even further. Mum and I lived in New Zealand for a bit when I was baby. We were from New Zealand, so it made sense. We bounced back there a lot. So then up to Queensland. So that was kind of my primary school to high school transition. Went from there to Queensland, and then only there for a few years, and then we're back down here again, which is probably a great decision. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in Sydney, so I kind of made that in the early high school days.
Yep.
So that was fun, but that constant movement, that's what I still do.
Yeah.
I'm so used to being somewhere for minimal time and being like, okay, cool, we're going to the next place. So that's kind of, I guess, engraved for me from back then. I think I worked out, it's like over 20 houses I've lived in.
Yeah, wow.
And 26 years. So it could be more. I literally lost count.
Stop counting at some point, right?
Yeah, you do. So, but love that. I think that allowed me to accept change very easily.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of that, and I embrace it, and I kind of not force it, but I'm always looking for it. Whether that means I'm not always settling down, not too sure, but it means I'm always open to the idea of new things.
Yep. Hence the 5 businesses and the chasing the world.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's just not afraid to say no on that.
Where did you go to school mostly?
So school was divided up. So yeah, primary school, Western Sydney, like Penrith, primary school and high school, which was in Queensland, Sunshine Coast. So that was a different experience again. It's like very near the beach. We had a pool at our school, so we're doing swimming for PE. Like, you go to Wet and Wild for your excursions, and then come back to Sydney. I moved down in winter. I didn't even own a jumper. I think I had one. I didn't have long pants, and I'm like, why did we come back here? It was the worst thing ever.
Yep.
But love it now, obviously.
Yeah, that Queensland versus Penrith lifestyle can look pretty on a brochure, right? And living and experiencing it for the summers and the winters that they have.
Literally,
Very
yeah.
big shock environmentally,
It
huh?
was. But I did end up at Nepean High School in Emu Plains, and I did finish off my senior years there. So finished that up, and then kind of just been in the area ever since.
How was your high school years?
High school years were alright. I feel like Queensland years, it was still young years.
Yeah.
Really not that special. But yeah, high school years was coming in at year 8 or 9. So you're the new person. You've got to find your group, find your clique.
Yep.
Did all that, stayed with that kind of group for a few years, which was all right. But the year after we finished school, no one speaks to each other anymore straight away, which was, it's not a big deal because you've got your main people, and that's who I still have to this day.
Yeah, wow.
Which is good. So that was it's actually my 10 years out of school this year, which doesn't sound real. I'm like, how did I finish school 10 years ago? I feel like it was like just last year.
Almost the exact amount of time that you're in it. It's just crazy. I know I look back and think, man, I'm 36 this year.
You got 10 years on me.
Yeah, yep. And so, double decade out of school. When I finished school, I was 17 when I left school, because that was year 12. I was the youngest in our year. Yeah. I hadn't yet turned 18.
Me too. Like, I was that youngest in that grade. So I think I was 16 in year 12. I had friends that had their red peas. I didn't even have my L's yet. Like, it was it was a weird age gap difference where you would also compare yourself. You're like, these people are doing all these things. And I'm like, they're 2 years older than me almost.
Did you feel like it gave you more time? I feel like when I left school, I'm like, I got 6 to 12 months before I decide to be anywhere near the people that are older than me.
Absolutely. And I used to say that so often. And one thing I did unteach myself was stop comparing yourself to others. Yes. Glad I learned that lesson many years ago. But that was the one thing that made me feel good. It's like, well, they have that. I've got more time. We both had that same start point on 2013 when we graduated, and we're starting life then.
Yep.
Cool. They're starting at 18, 19. I'm starting at 16, 17.
Yep.
And I can mess around and do whatever without having the thought I'm like,
losing time.
Yeah. Exactly right. And, you fast forward 10 years, everyone obviously is doing their own thing. And it's like, time really doesn't matter now over that course period. But at the start, you just stress. You're like, am I doing enough? Am I doing the right thing? What should I be doing next?
What did you want to do before you left school? Did you have an idea? Because I didn't really have an idea. I had thoughts about what I should do based on the expectations of those around me, what they wanted me to do.
I had no idea, beyond no idea. The only thing, no, I had nothing. I literally was just I knew back in even when I was younger, I used to say, I'm going to own a business one day. I just don't know what it is yet.
Nice.
So for that mentality, when we're doing those careers days at school, it's like, here's a university pamphlet, get an 8 over the score and go do that. And I was like, commitment issues probably. I'm not looking to 4 years of education. What if I change my mind? I am indecisive. I'm impulsive. I like to do things for X amount of time and not be fully locked into that.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. So then it just kind of spun off to just go to work.
Yep.
And work. Actually, I did do an outdoor recreation certificate. So in bushwalking, abseiling, and canoeing, instructing.
Yep.
Didn't love the bushwalking side of it. Not built to be out in 3 days, no tent in the rain. Passed with flying colours, loved it. But that gave me an understanding of managing people.
Yep.
We learned facilitation. We learned how to, here's 30 kids under 10, you're in charge. How are you going to handle that?
Yep.
Those skills I learned from that, invaluable. They've got me to here today.
Yep. 100%. Everything we learn early on in the years does. That's why I want to go this far back, because I think for us to understand where you're at now in your life at 26, right? Where you're at right now, we need to go back as far as we can to say, what shaped you? What shaped your personality and your traits? Why do you react the way you react and decide the things that you decide?
Absolutely.
So those jobs, those people management skills, those high pressure, I have 30 responsibilities, really, obligations, liabilities. I have all that ahead of me, and I need to now have something to do within minutes of getting that to go, okay, now I've got process, I've got structure, I've got control, because if I don't, this is absolute chaos.
Absolutely.
Which I think is probably why you're doing so well managing multiple businesses and being able to succeed in those, because it's very easy to do 50 things poorly and nothing well. And so I don't think that's where you get that from. I think you get that, you can do multiple things extremely well because of that quick, fast paced mind that you've got.
Literally, if it's like problem solving and having an answer before you even know you need the answer is key.
You've done 100 scenarios to this point. You've already figured them out. When someone brings it up to you, you go, I've already sorted that, and the 3 after it.
Exactly right. And that brings me back to like visualizing that though. So you see, I'm literally like, I'll look at something. I'm like, what's going to happen? What's the reaction that's going to cause from whatever? And I'm like, I'll literally visualize it, map it out, be like, cool, if that happens and we do that, perfect. And I'm prepared. Yes. And then even if I haven't done that, you can just stop for like 60 seconds, look at the problem in your head and be like, what needs to happen? And like, done, problem solved, make one call or action what has to be actioned.
Perfect. Now, we've had a pretty good upbringing. We've done, we moved around a lot. You have gone from state to countries you've moved around in. You've then gone and left school. You've done some stuff, but you're not quite sure what you want to do. Where did you go moving into young adulthood? Like you've been out of school for a little bit, and now there's an expectation that we start. I'm not saying we have to have this, but there is an expectation that we start to go, okay, what is our path? Where are we headed? Where were you then?
So that would have been, definitely that 2 or 3 years after school. So I definitely was party boy. Like I was just out every weekend. As soon as I was 18, it was work hard, party, every event. Like I never said no to a good time. Yep. And I love having a good time. So I went from like that stage, until maybe upwards of 19. And that's when I was kind of working full time and I was like, this isn't for me. I want to do more traveling. And then that's when I made that big jump. I quit my job and I was like, I'm going to Europe. Like that was my first, I think that was 2016. I'd done smaller trips before that, normally every 3 months. I also realized I was in this cycle from school days. You have your term and you have holidays.
Yep.
I would always fly to Queensland on my holidays. I would fly here. I would always be away doing something. So I maintained that. So every 3 months, I'm in Bali, I'm in Fiji, I'm going to New Zealand, I'm doing whatever. And then it got to the point I'm like, let's do something bigger. So then we made that, quit my job, chase this while I was still young, because all of those like, oh, when are you buying a house? Or what are you doing? You're just working at a juice shop. Like, what's more? And I was like, I don't want more right now. I want to experience. Like the biggest thing for me is, am I experiencing life? Am I in the moment? And what else can I do for the plot? What's funny, what's fun.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
I think a lot of people will try and box, especially young people, into how are you going to afford a house? How are you going to have a living with a family, kids? Like what's on the horizon for you, and how are you preparing for that? And I think they forget then that they're also not very happy having done that themselves.
Right.
And a lot of people will regret not capitalizing on the moment when they had less obligations in life.
Yeah, no liabilities, I couldn't even tell you if I had any bills. I'm pretty sure mum still paid for my phone bill back then. That was the time to do it. Like I had a paycheck and I just had fun. So it was that kind of done that. But it was meant to be a kind of like, all right, let's do it this year, come back, work out what my career or full-time job is, save and buy a house. Well, that cycle didn't happen because that next 5 years, 4 to 5 years was travel constantly.
Yep.
Back to Europe multiple times. I moved to Greece. I loved that much. So I ended up just living there. Worked in a bar, worked on the door of a bar. It was my job to get people in, hype them up, free shots.
Yep.
That was when I realized this is the life I'm living. I was happy.
Yeah,
absolutely happy.
Because I remember that you were training here at a CrossFit HF and you were like killing it, like fitness wise, like just phenomenal strength increases and everything. You were just like, I think when you put your mind to something, you get really good at it. And I could, as a coach, I could see you just nailing it week after week. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm going away again, and I don't know when I'll be back again.
Literally, my favorite thing you always said, be like, you always get to your peak performance and say, I'm bored, I'm flying overseas.
You go, no, I've achieved this whole CrossFit thing for a bit. I think I'm gonna go for a holiday and make it, and I'll come back and do it again. And that would be a bit of a cycle.
Yeah.
I remember when you moved, or when you went over to Greece.
Yes.
And then I remember watching your development over there as an individual and thinking, he's never coming back, right?
I have to come back. My visa ran out.
You'll be back for a day or week, and then you're allowed to leave again, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I wonder where it's gonna go, and I wonder what it's gonna do for Adam. And I think, do you think that led you into just going, when I do come back and settle down, I need something that's going to give me this same thrive for life, the same vitality. So when you got back from living over there, which was in what year?
That was end of 2019.
And then 2020, you start to think about this sort of stuff that you're doing.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So I flew back, and it actually went and done I was like, cool, I want to maintain this. So I've gone from traveler, paying to travel, gone backpacking, stayed in $2,000 a night hotels. Like, I'd done it all. Then done the living experience. I was like, this is for me. Let me travel the world and make money.
Yep.
So I had flown back, spent a bit of time with the fam, and actually booked in my super yacht course to become a deckhand.
I remember that now.
Spent $8,000 for a 2-week course, booked my one-way flight to France in the April of 2020. And then that's when the world shut down.
Yeah.
So that kind of like went out the window.
It was literally a month before.
Yeah, I had done the February, March, I'd done the course, ticket booked, done, and I was meant to be out of here with my best friend. And then so there was never any future plans past that in my mind at that period of time.
Wow.
So that goal for that would to be at least, a year on that, see how we go, because you can make good money, save it, everything's paid for. Amazing, I'm seeing the world getting paid to do it.
Yep.
And that was all my focus was back then. It was like, can I tick the next country off the box? And how can I do it? Because it's costing me too much money, and I've racked up credit card debt as well. So it was that choice. But yeah, so there's no forecasts for owning a business or doing anything like that. Like, it was always in the back of my mind, but it was never planned at that point.
Never seeded and grown and watered.
No, you're exactly right. Until I realized for the first time, as everyone was, we're stuck in the country. Like, my travels, I book a flight and I'm out of here in 2 weeks.
How was that for you going through that? Because it sounds like you were a bird trapped in a cage.
It literally was. It was just nothing. Obviously, no one's experienced it before, but not being able, that's my routine. My routine for that 5 years was book, holiday, go.
Yep.
So then it was like, cool. Now I'm like, I always lived with my parents during that time as well, which I love my family. So that was great to have that time together. But I was also then working for my parents' company as a concreter, which I'd kind of done on and off over those years. So I'd done my first ever 12 full months of real work. That was a shock to the system. Loved it though, saved so much money, that was a good thing, I think. It was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
For that, it brings you back to that age. It's like, okay, well, what did you want to do? What's that pivot point for that age? Okay, cool. Well, I've got a bit of capital behind me now. What is my next step? So that kind of then put me in the mindset of, one, I don't want to do this forever. What's my options? And what can we do? So yeah, that led me to where we are today. Kind of like, that was the catalyst, I guess, to be like, all right, in that mindset of, I need to do something to make money that is for myself, because it pulled me back to, all right, well, I loved living overseas, doing things by myself. I was out of that. I moved to the city with my best friend for a year. Yeah. And in that time period, just before that, was the start of the business.
Where did it go from, all right, here's a backdrop, or here's some floral arrangements, and here's some balloons, to taking over like the bloody state? Like, when I look at it, I'm like, you've got like Westfield contracts, you've got contracts with big brands, big marketing places, and you're on top of it all.
We kind of are everywhere, which I love. It's amazing. Definitely spread myself thin last year, but that's the right now. Has to be like that right now to be able to put us in the position to go. But if we take it back, it's been a little while, it's been 2 to 3 years, and it all started with my best friend Bianca, and she just sent me a photo saying, hey, can you get me 6 white pallets to meet me at Nepean River? and showed me a photo of a pallet picnic. I'd never heard of this in my life.
Yeah.
Made that, did it again a few months later for another friend, and then someone's like, hey, how much was that? And it's like, well, you can make money off this. Like,
I mean, I did it for free the first time, so
literally. So then I was like, no worries. And that was when we were coming out of the after the first COVID lockdown, we could only have 20 people at your house. So people were happy to do that kind of small get together, haven't seen their friends.
backyard parties were massive then, right?
Literally. And I think also I come in at the right time where I was still working full time. This was obviously on the side on the weekend. But after that first lockdown, I think a lot of events companies didn't survive. So I got not a clean slate, but an opportunity to get it like at a same level as everyone else.
Yep. I think that was a huge industry that got smashed. I mean, obviously training and my industry with personal training, but the events were just like from making, that's how they needed people to be together. If they weren't, that wasn't happening, they had to close down because you would lose tens of thousands of dollars.
Everything. And, you know, training and like events, like that was the first thing to always get shut down in a split second because it's a luxury, not necessity.
Yep.
So I did learn that, but also I wasn't relying on this business because I still had a full-time job.
Yeah, like which was considered essential, right?
It was construction. It was working for my like parents' company. So like that was a blessing to have that as a backbone type of thing. But yeah, so we went from that first year with the picnics and really focused on my like social media, my TikToks, all that with that, really started to build that brand. But it got traction straight away, which was like amazing, overwhelming. I had a video blow up on TikTok, you know, and I woke up to hundreds of inquiries. I don't know how to run a business. I don't even know what I'm doing on the weekends. Working full time, how do I respond to all these messages? So it was learning curves from day dot, but because I had that, it forced me to pick my game up from the get-go and like, cool, I want to make this something that I can do full time. So that energy went into that for a while. I learned something from him. I went to some seminar, I learned from, I can't remember what his name was, but he's like, your industry, you might want to take over everything, but you need to focus on one thing, become the best at that so you can make your money easy and then start branching out and doing everything. Yep. So that was picnics were for me. I saw these backdrops, balloons, weddings. I was like, that's amazing. That's who I want to be. I can't do that right now. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Don't have the money for that.
Yep.
So I worked on that and then just slowly introduced those products over that time. And then one thing I often say is like, if I'm going to obviously do it, I'm going to do it right. And if I'm going to introduce a range, like I want to have everything. I want to make sure it's not like, so with our neon signs, we just bought 40 neon signs, 15 1.2 meter numbers. Like that's a big investment. It's like a $20,000 investment.
Yeah, massive.
That was something I wanted to do a year ago, but I wasn't going to buy 2 signs. People come to me and be like, oh, they have nothing. Yeah. I'm not going to look for them up again in the future. So it's that
reputation on supply is something you wanted to have.
Exactly. And the variety and the options there. So that was that focus. And that's how I kind of built those blocks up. So it was, you know, the backdrops and whatnot, but also finding my key vendors and other people to work with me that's how I built the brand. So Wish Dust Balloons, who's Catherine, one of my best friends from high school, she'd already had this business many years before I started. Leveraging what she had, she's my own, like I went to her for everything. For balloon wise, didn't allow it for anyone else. So that brand becomes synonymous, I can't say the word, with each other. Yeah. Which was great. And then also finding other people that might have been new in the industry as well, whether that was, you know, grazing and whatnot, florals and things, and like growing together. And I definitely like loved that until I realized I could do everything myself kind of, but you can't at the start. So worked on that. And then, we finally went through that next lockdown, come out of it. Kat and I said, we're both working out of like single garages out of our parents' houses. So I had one shed in the backyard. It was like
full to the brim,
3 meters by like 6 meters, and it was just packed. And then I finally started taking over like 2 of Dad's other sheds, Mum's carport. Like I had stuff everywhere, and it got to the point they're like, you need a bigger space, or we need to like get a big container. And I was like, well, really, I need operational space.
Yep.
I'm not a storage facility. I need to design work and get things sorted. So that's when the decision came to get the warehouse, which was scary. Like after 1 year of business, a giant lockdown, small lockdowns, no cash flow, life savings goes, let's just get a 250 square meter warehouse.
And a 5-year debt.
Yeah, literally like lock yourself in for 2 years. And I just remember walking in being like, what have we done?
Yeah.
This is huge.
How do we stage things? Where do we put things? We need racking. We don't know what racking is. We don't know that you can buy racking.
Where do you even get that from?
What's good quality racking? What's poor quality racking?
Yeah.
Maybe a forklift. You need all this
all
stuff.
of it. And it was also our first overhead. We now have a bill to pay every month. We have to make money.
Yep.
And that was the first scary part.
Do you think that lit a fire under your butt a little bit and said, all right, put all of your effort and power, which we know is potential, like huge potential within you and your business partner and be able to go, let's just go full steam.
110%. So that was at that same time I had finally let go of working with my parents. I'd worked so hard to get down to 1 to 2 days with them, just still helping. And that was that decision. I said, I'm getting this warehouse. I need all my time to put into this to make the money. And if I don't, I'm screwed. So that's literally where we went from there. And that was it. I need to get these, bookings in. What do I need to do for that? Am I advertising right? Am I getting to my inquiries quick enough? Things like those factors that contribute to that.
Yeah. And what was your biggest, I guess, challenge up until now, either personally trying to navigate all this or even in business? Like I've been in business for 12 years in this one location. I've done my own business for over 15 as a personal trainer. So I made a shitload of errors. I've things that have cost me lots of money I've left on the table, problems here and there, teething problems, operational problems, all that sort of stuff. If you were to give me one problem that you've kind of gone, fuck, I need to remember that because that was an issue.
Yeah.
And before you answer, I'm going to restart this camera.
Cool.
No, we're back. Go again.
Yeah. So biggest challenge in its own would definitely be don't spend all your money at once. Don't get excited because you see money in because it has to go out straight away. So that was definitely a life lesson from back to probably last October. We're like, let's do these neons. We dropped our safety net on these neons. So it put us in a shit position going into the end of the year. So now it's that recouping of cash flow. And that's a lot of stress just comes from money. We're growing rapidly. We're bringing people on the team. Cool, you've got wages to pay. How are you going to pay them? You've got the same amount of work coming in. Okay, now we're elevating that. Now we're doubling our work. Can people handle that? So it all just comes back to making those large investments at the right time, which for us, we thought it was the right time, but it was also, yes, we'd invested in this warehouse a year ago. That was fine. It had been a year. We're in a position, let's do it. But $20,000 is a lot of money to spend on something. And then
that could just sit in the warehouse
to take 4 months to come.
Yeah, wow.
Exactly. I think we started planning last October. We only got them last week.
Yeah, wow. So you've invested 20 grand straight into this thing. You've lost all it. It's gone. And now you have and I mean, assuming it's an international thing, right? You've gone over,
correct.
And you don't even really know the quality of what's going to come back.
Full gamble.
You're hoping.
Exactly right. We didn't even get a test sign or anything.
Just losing it. Like the ship's been disappeared.
Literally. And it was the design process. It was, okay, pay all this. Yep, take that. All right, now it's shipping. You don't know when it's going to come. Get there. Cool. Oh, it's another $3.5 grand for your taxes. Love that. All right, cool. Now we're people also don't think that's just for the product. In our warehouse, we are out of space. I had to build a second level last week. There's another X amount of dollars that you don't plan for. So that's like you just don't think of the foundation that requires to, help these things and then go. And now it's like, cool, we've got everything. Are we marketing properly? Are we reaching the audience? Are people going to book it in? Now we have them. People already have their events booked in for the next month. They don't need to sign this month.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool, that might start coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
But we want to recoup that now. So yeah, you can't make the right financial decisions all the time. You do, but you've got to take that risk. You got to take the jump. I'm glad we started the process, when we did, because it was a lengthy process. Did we have to do that over our Christmas rush and our slow January? Probably not. No. But if I pushed it off to now, it'd be another 4 months and I wouldn't have it for the year. And I looked at what we'd spent hiring out the neons, over the last year, technically could have paid for half of that or more. So it was, I do love big risk, big jump, but it's learning the repercussions if you haven't experienced it before.
And not all of the big risks are going to stick. I mean, the classic saying is you've got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Correct.
Right? And I get that. But at the same time, unless you do your due diligence and you are educated and at least trying your best to make the right financial decisions for where your business needs to go, it's always going to be that scary, oh man, like this might sink the ship.
Yeah.
Like this might put a big hole in what we're operating. And I think complacency is something that can kill businesses as well. And so had you not made the jump, there might have been a little bit of complacency in the fact that we're operating fine. There's nothing wrong. We're making X amount of dollars every month. If we do that for the next 2 years, that's quite a good nest egg. But what's the point unless you're evolving and developing?
Well, exactly right. Especially when our goal is, we want to be known around Sydney. We want to take this around Australia. We've got so many, big 3-year plans and visions, and we need to get everything in-house. Like, why am I outlaying these things? It's wasting my money. I don't have control over what it costs from another person. I have control over what it costs for me here. So, learning from all that, but it's, taking those jumps. So you just have to. Otherwise, you plateau. Yeah, it's cool to make that, but that's amazing if you're happy and you're content with that and you only need X amount of dollars and you don't want to stress yourself out perfect. That's for you. That's not my path.
Yep.
And I know that we want to go so much more with that, like everything that we have planned. So it needs to be pushed and get done.
Who influences you on the day-to-day? Like, is there someone you look up to or look about for information, guidance, inspiration, motivation, whatever the word you want to use? Is there someone out there that you go, boom, like I needed that injection of fuel?
Every day at about 11:30 in the morning, my mum and I speak.
Yep.
That's just our daily routine. We check in on each other, and she is the one. We pull each other up every single day.
So your mum and your dad interest me a bit because I've heard a lot about them and I've never met them, but they own their own concrete business, right?
Correct, yeah.
Who do you think is the driving force behind that massive machinery and that business itself?
It's definitely, it's 50-50 on both of them. You've got dad out every single day. He's dealing with everyone, but mum's in the office by herself. She runs that back end of everything and she's across the board of everything. So, dad's the one setting out fires on site, but mum's without her logistics, her admin, dealing with, all their contracts of all their builders, there's no work.
Yep.
So it's that balance between the two of them.
So every day at 11:30, your mum will call you and say, "Are you just?"
It's just a hello. It's a good morning. How are you? It's that mid-morning chat where she's finally done all her, dropped the kids to school, got herself sorted. We're checking in. We're saying hello. How are you? Like, how are you feeling? And we're so honest with each other. She's probably one of my best friends. It was us at the beginning. It's always been us. And it will always be us. I've got my 3 siblings with my stepdad. So it's just me and them. They're 15, 12 and 5.
Yep.
So, that big age gap makes a difference as well.
And they're siblings to your stepdad? Or
Correct. Yeah. So the 3 of them with my stepdad.
Yep.
But I call my stepdad Dad.
Yeah,
He's been around forever. But yeah, so it's the 2 of them. So definitely mum, positivity is how you get through the day. So many shit things have happened to them in the past, have happened constantly, just every day. This could be something that could go wrong, but you can't allow it to affect you. Like, why? You can't change someone else's actions. You just can't do it. So why are you going to let it affect you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people let this phrase get in their heads. They think the world is happening to them. Like, the stuff that's happening in the day in the world is not happening to you. It's happening and you're experiencing it.
You experience it and you have a choice. I use the word choice a lot in everything because you always make a choice.
100%.
And you have the choice in how it's going to affect you. The same way that I overbook ourselves for a week and I made that choice to say yes to that client. Why am I stressed? It's my choice.
Yes, exactly.
And I understand that there's external factors that will come with that and make me stressed, but it all comes back to the fact that I said yes and I could have said no. Like just before we started, I got an email for a job for tomorrow for a big Westfield client.
Yep.
Am I going to say yes or no? Haven't decided yet because we've got so much to do in the next 24 hours and they want that installed tomorrow. Like I physically don't think we have the time.
Yeah. Now, with all of this has to come some form of routine for you. Do you have a routine? Is there something that you do? Okay, these are my blocks of time daily. This is my week block, my month block, and my whatever it might be, the routine that sets that up for you. Is there something that you have that you could enlighten us with?
I would love to say that I wake up every day and I do all these million things, but my life is different every single day. I don't live the same day twice, and I never know what I'm doing. So I have so much chaoticness happening around me. The things that I can do for myself, if I can keep them simple, that's a win for me.
Yep.
So it's simple for me in the morning is I wake up to my alarm. I literally just get straight out of bed. Like, might not be on the first alarm, might be the third one, but I am getting straight. I'm not scrolling my phone. Like, I'll get up, I'm straight in the shower. Only the last 3 to 4 months I've been, cold showers, getting into that. That's made a world of a difference. I have noticed I'm a bit of like a dopamine junkie, so I love that hit, that rush, and it sets the tone for the day.
Yep.
I'm revitalized. I'm getting dressed. I'm wearing similar like plain shirts. Same, if I know what my day is, if I've got meetings, I'm putting on a denim short. If I'm working in the warehouse, I'm putting on a casual short. If I've got to go see clients, whatever, things like that.
Yep.
But it's always similar. Like, there's no big stress about it. And then I'm into my day. Do I have to go somewhere? Do I have to be at the flower markets? Do I have to be meeting clients straight away? Am I dropping something off? Am I on a call straight away? Like, I will either eat breakfast at home if I've got that spare half an hour, or I will eat it at the warehouse in the office, or I probably just won't eat it.
Yep.
If I forget about it.
Yeah. So there's no religious routine that you stick by, swear by, except the cold shower sort of thing.
Just
in the morning.
those simple few steps in the morning of like what I had to get myself out of a habit many years ago. Like, I was a lay in bed type of person. Wake up, let's just lay here for an hour.
Yeah.
Let's do I would do emails, like I would do work in there, but then it's not bed anymore. It's just like, it's not a good habit to be in.
Yeah,
so I kind of had to cut that back. But yeah, I just have to keep it simple because, like I said, it's just too many other things going on. And what I found, like, I tried it. Like last year, I'd wake up, shower, breakfast, sit, read something, have a little scroll, vacuum the house, wipe up, do a load of washing. That's the first hour of my day gone.
Yeah,
I don't have a spare hour to waste these days. Like, every minute, like, I'm awake is almost for work, and it's like from start to finish of the day. And so I can't afford that hour. Like, hopefully I will one day. I do need a bit of me time back.
For sure.
But for now, what I'm doing is working, and that works for me.
Do you have routines in the warehouse? You have now, well, talking before we started recording, you have 5 people that you're responsible for. Do you have a routine with them, or is it just they know what they're doing? You don't need to police it too much. When you walk in the doors, how does that go for you?
Yeah, so that's something that we're definitely working hard on at the moment, is creating those, streamlined systems, job descriptions, what people know what they have to do. At the moment, our week is kind of set up. We know what main things need to be done on those days. A Monday is a reset day. So whoever's in there, the warehouse is just a complete reset. There's no thinking like, let's get the weeks back to order. Admin side of it, we're just jumping on inquiries or like anything that's important. Then you follow the week. It's like different areas of a job needs to be prepped, from the balloons to florals to painting. What's going to take the longest. So balloons take all week. So, Tuesday we're counting, and then we're blowing up the next day, we're tying, then we're getting ready. So that's that kind of routines habits there. So, but it's still on Kat and myself to instruct or, guide, this is what we're doing today. Here's your hit list. Let's tick all this off. But we are working with a company at the moment to develop, introduce a new software called ClickUp, which is going to streamline everything. So, we are able to put the giant client job folders in there, and it will tell you all the tasks that need to be actioned. So we'll allocate that, pull it up on your phone on a date, and it will tell everyone what they have to do.
So you guys are developing this?
It's already developed, but we're building it.
Okay,
so it's a software called ClickUp, but it's so versatile that it needs to be built the way you want it.
Yep.
It cost me $5,000. But that's fine. It's going to help us this year.
Better make sure you use it.
Yeah, well, I was meant to have a meeting for it today. I'm like, I haven't done my homework for it, so I had to push that back to next week.
I don't know what questions to ask yet. I might need to give myself a week.
That's fine. But yeah, it's more about those, systems that everyone is aware of to follow.
Yep.
That's essentially what a routine is.
Yeah, for sure. How is it having a business partner? Now, I know when I opened up HF, I went in with the intention of having business partners. And all of that falls off at some point, right? It might be a lack of enthusiasm. It might be a lack of financial support. It might be a different direction, and they don't line up. So having a business partner, how similar are they to you? Are they complete opposite? How do you balance that?
So this even wasn't in our I don't know, we got the warehouse together over a year ago and we worked separately in the same building for so long. And then eventually, because our work started to overlap nearly for every single job, and we got the Westfields contracts, and that was falling on me, but we're doing equal amount of work, and we noticed that. We come to each other and said, look, we're both working on this physically, admin-wise, whatever it might be. So it was a simple conversation to have, and it was like, how do we do that? Let's start a proper company, and then it can, funnel everything through there. But we do complement each other because we like different things in the business. We've both got the creative side of it. I love the creative side. I love talking to people. I love the communication. I'll be on the phone, locking in whoever. I'll chat all day. Don't love an email. You want a response from me, probably going to get it tomorrow because I'm shocking at it. That is one of my downfalls, is maintaining that technology email communication. Yeah. Which is fun. Always working on it. But then for Catherine's side of it, still the creative, physical, but she's really great on, the admin and the account side of it. My accounts are a mess. I work on that so much and then they slip behind because I'm too busy and in the business.
And you don't enjoy it as much.
I don't enjoy it, so it's not my priority. If I've got to sit there and know I've got to make 10 floral arrangements, I'm going to make that before I check something off.
You're not putting a spreadsheet up on the computer and
Absolutely.
writing numbers.
I didn't even know how to do a spreadsheet. Every day I'm like, how do I do this? And that's my other thing. My background isn't office stuff. And so it was really hard for me to, what do I need to do? And creating those, a folder for something. I don't have folders for anything.
And they're all desktop. Just
everywhere. I literally this morning, I was like, I couldn't find something. And I actually spent 20 minutes in just reorganizing my documents and whatever had to be. So that's where she excels. Yeah. And we balance each other out. We have the conversation. Cool. What are we doing? I need this from you. Can you do that? Perfect. So it has worked really well in allowing us to grow. Without each other, it won't happen.
Has there been a moment where you've gone, we don't see eye to eye at the moment?
Not a moment like that. Just my maybe spending habits, because I love the bigger picture in anything in life. So I'm always if we do this now, it's going to be amazing in 3 years, but it's a struggle right now. Yeah. Is it a sacrifice?
And it's a $50,000 investment tomorrow. Thanks for letting me.
I always ask them can I spend $5,000 this week on what? And I'm like, we need it. It's fine.
It's nothing to do with the business, but it's beautiful.
No. But other than just having that, working on that clear communication around money, because it can be a hard conversation for anyone to have with anyone.
And in a relationship that's intimate, it's difficult, let alone where you go home to separate houses and there's no obligation to the other to feed the family, do whatever. That's there's no obligation. Literally. So the conversations are challenging.
It is. So that's what we work on that every day, and it's just touching base continuously. And it's what do we need from each other? Yep. What do you need for you to excel, and what do I need for me to excel? And it's that help. And it could even be as simple as, I don't have 10 minutes now, but can you call this person for me? Or is it yes or no answers? Quick answers. Yep. It's because there's always so much pressure for so many decisions to be made.
I think if the person that you're dealing with is hyper emotional or extremely sensitive to that, it can be even more challenging. If you guys know the operation is not, hey, how's your day? It's yes, no, let's move on. We'll come back at some point. We don't have the time to be lovey-dovey communication. We need to just get stuff done and ordered and sent off and centered around what we're doing for the day.
Yeah, exactly right. And it needs to be that, because we, as you can see, we have volume of work. And if we are wasting time doing one little task, we could have done 10 others. Yep. And I am the distraction though. I am the problem when it comes to waffling around. So, but she pulls me back and she's like, I need these. And I'm like, sweet, then we get that done. Or if I can't get it done, she's like, she'll just get it done. Yeah. And it works both ways. So definitely the biggest blessing. And it also enabled her to quit her full-time job. And that was only 4 months ago.
What was that?
She was the executive assistant for the Deputy Commissioner of Police, I think.
Oh, wow.
So big job. Big 9 to 5, took a lot of it, like, you know, her time and focus was there when she was working. So everything we did for Wishdust and for us was after hours.
Yeah, wow.
Working in the city. So long hours. So really allowed us to take that leap for her and for me.
We've got, I think, I'm not sure if we brought it up here in the recording or before, you've got some space moving. You're hiring, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
You're looking at expanding, got some more wages.
Yeah,
How is that? How's that happening now with where you guys are at? Like, are you guys both comfortable with it?
I think it's a big push on our behalf. It's a big reach for where we're at right now. But it's just opportunities arise, and I wanted to take them. You know, because it's something that we might not get for a long time. You know, we're looking at acquiring another events styling business, taking over the whole business, and they're coming to work for us, taking all their product, taking their socials, taking their brand.
And they just work for a wage now.
Correct.
Yep.
So like that opportunity came and I wanted to take it. We've been looking for more stylists to work, and they do what we do just as well. They're the perfect people to bring on board. Yeah. That allows us
match your culture, match your vibe.
Exactly right. And like, we know them, we're good friends with them. Like, we've worked them for years. Like, we see them every week. Yeah. So that opportunity came up and I was like, let's do this, because it's going to allow Kat and I to have maybe a Saturday off. Yeah. Even once a month. And because we know that the work's getting done. So it's that. But it's also, the next big, I guess, challenge that we are facing right now is, how do we pay everyone? Are we making sure our budgets, and are we forecasting? Are the events booked in? What do we need to do that? And is the cash flow coming in? So,
how do you deal with the emotional and mental, physical toll on you as a person? Because I know as a business owner, some days I feel like I'm doing the shittest job ever.
How do I deal with
heavy?
that?
Like some days I can feel like I'm a little more anxious, a little more depressed than others, and I need a way around getting out of that myself. And I do things, training, exercise, eating, stuff like that. But is there something, have you experienced that? You seem to have a lot going on. Is there something that's affecting you as a person day to day like that? And if it does, what do you do?
So I guess everything can affect you, but I don't know, I always turn up positive. As you know, some people can just say that, but I literally just have to have a smile on my face, because I bring it back to, I made the choice to do this for us or for myself. So I need to make sure I turn up. So, but when there is those moments, it's as simple as a phone call. Like, I'm also blessed, like my circle of friends, majority of them own their own businesses as well. They know the struggles, they know the pains. Yep. My parents, so like I can pick my phone up and call, 10 people that are my closest people. And I could have a breakdown, if it be that, have a cry, this isn't working, I'm stuck. And they will talk you through it, or just, understand. It's simple as getting it out in the open. Yep. Perfect. Let's move on now. I'm big on moving on. I don't, like, my past is my past. Actions were taken. Cool. I'm not dwelling on that. Yeah, exactly. Nothing could have happened any other way, because it didn't. And that's the way it happened. Right. And so you're not dwelling on it is not going to change shit. Yeah. Exactly right. So, there is key moments. I did have one moment, I think last November, which I don't like. Everything didn't happen how it should have. Like, we had 7 activations to install and we just ran out of time. I, over said that we could do all this. That was on me. Expected a lot from a lot of people, which amazing. They pulled off everything if we had a few more hours. And that was my one tipping point. But I also hadn't slept in a while. Like in November, December, I was working 100 to 130 hours a week. Wow. 1 week I had 14 hours sleep. I think I did like 56 hours straight. And that was that week, because I was just purely exhausted all the time. Your emotions are down. And but I had allowed any issue I had fixed until I got told this isn't going to be achieved right now. And that was, I just went into the bathroom, had a little cry for like 10 minutes, like shaking, had to splash my face under cold water, had a moment to take a deep breath, put my smile back on and walked out, because everyone's there doing everything for me, for us. Like, I can't let them down now. Like, so you just got to push through. That's kind of why I ask, because everyone sees the glamorous side of it. They look at like, oh, you must be making X amount of dollars. It must be all smooth sailings and you're on the Caribbean seas and the sunset, like beautiful.
And yet what they don't see is the storm that inevitably hits every business owner, the storm and the clouds and the thunder that comes hurtling at you at some point.
Yes.
And it's important to express that to those who are listening, because that happens in our everyday life, let alone in business. And it can be extra damaging to us as individuals. Our businesses can absolutely damage us.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to be ready for it, and we need to know what we're going to do and how we're going to handle that. Because otherwise, you, Adam, the individual, takes a hit. You know, it's a scar that you have to wear.
Yeah.
It's like having a child, like, you know, you have this business, it's like your baby, and then that something happens and it's not well, and you're like, oh, hold on, I need to fix this because I want my baby to be good. I want to be healthy, strong. Yeah. And yet it's not. There's some cracks.
That's right, and the cracks show very quickly, especially under pressure. So, yeah, it's a lot to take on. It's not for everybody.
You're doing a great job, and I've been watching you for many years, and seeing you develop from strength to strength, and hence why I wanted to have you on here. But if you were to recommend some stuff for those people, and we've got some stuff here now in my little book of questions to ask you.
Cool.
Any books and podcasts that you want to recommend to those? Are you a book guy, a podcast guy, audio guy?
So I've never actually finished reading a book before. I've tried multiple times, just not for me.
Yep.
I get to a page and I don't know what I've done. But I'm a very visual audio learner. So to be honest, like, I love marketing podcasts. There's a couple, I think it's like Small Business, Big Marketing. I've listened to that for years, and it's just like, it interviews big businesses and what they do for things like that, you know, and that really was really cool. You'd learn different ways, different businesses do things. Love that. But honestly, like, my TikTok feed half the time is something educational to do a business. And that's where I love that. And if you get in that good For You page, or you find a good account, like, it teaches you so many things in those quick snippets. And that's where I get a lot of information from.
And the dynamics of the world have changed. Like, books used to be the only way to actually, the only media we had, right, was book. Now, like, reading. And now we have so much audiovisual stuff that is changing the world. And Instagram, TikTok, YouTube have now that much amazing free content on there that can just shape your business so much more than a whole book would do.
Everything. And like,
in half the time.
Literally, in half the time. Snippets of the time. Like, there was even something popped up about Canva the other day, and it was like, the new Magic Write thing. I went and did it, and I was like, I've got 20 content ideas right now. I didn't have to think. And it's like stuff I thought of in the past that I didn't write down.
So much better now with artificial intelligence and writing content and like writing copy. You just go, events management business looking to promote neon signs. Boom.
Perfect.
It just comes up these days.
Yeah, and it's so good. And like, we've also just brought like a marketing manager on board as well to the team. So it's great that I can get that ideas to her quicker. Yeah. And then she knows what I'm thinking.
Do you have any gadgets that you use daily that you think is something that people would want to, someone out there that's like a little budding entrepreneur wants a gadget to help them?
A gadget. Well, don't try run your business off an iPad for the first year. You will require a laptop, which I did not do. So I am an iPad child at heart. Love my iPad. But to be honest, I don't have too many things, whether it's my phone, iPad, my laptop. I definitely have, another big screen set up. I need multiple screens to be able to function. Yeah, if you don't have it, like, it's just so much quicker.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like, what do we even use? Like, some like tech, like this ClickUp they're introducing. If you don't have to spend that money, you can build it yourself. Like I mentioned before, we spend a lot. But it's more systems for me, like what's going to make things easier. And if that's an app on your phone where people know what to do, perfect. As simple as that.
Do you have an app that you use to communicate with the team? Or just Messenger? Or
everyone's got their individual email addresses, so all at Ivory Stone Collective, so that way we can communicate with them. Or we just give them a call if we have to.
One we used to use like Slack or whatever, it's like a walkie-talkie type thing, which was cool because those sorts of tech and gadgets that you can get on apps on the phone just streamline communication.
Definitely. And I think, in the next 2 months, once our team's jumping to, potentially 15 people, I will definitely be looking at that to, get those communication lines easier.
Beautiful. Now, you've got some fans out there, buddy. I know you've got a massive network. And if you were to give a message to the world of those out there right now listening to you and your story, what would it be? If you think billboard style, think where you have 30 seconds on national television, worldwide television, global television to spread a message, what would it be and how would you deliver it?
It would definitely have to be something like, what would it be? Don't be afraid to do what you want to do. Don't listen to others. If you feel it in your heart, then chase it. Don't ask how much something is if it means you're going to get more out of it at the end. Don't be afraid to take that jump, and because you never know how it's going to turn out. So it could be, but you have to believe in it. If it's something that you want to do, I finally found my passion with events. It took me 8 years after school. And then, tell it to the world, and then believe in yourself and go do it.
I think that's a great way to wrap up our conversation today, because if there's one thing I see when I look at you, it's passion and focus. And although that focus can be chaotic in all the things that are happening inside your head, but from the outside of looking in, I don't see it. I know it's there because I know you, but I can just see specific adaptation to what you're trying to achieve in the next 3, 5, and 10 years. So congratulations on doing some amazing stuff in such a short time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
If people want to contact you directly, or the businesses that you run, how would they do that?
Just can follow us at The Ultimate Occasion. That'll get you access to all of our businesses. They're all up there. You can see everything from the balloons, neons, anything made. And if you want to find my personal page, it's Addy, ADDYZH.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Adam. I really appreciate you taking the time to come down on our show, The People First.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Can't wait to hear the feedback, guys. Now, make sure if you need to reach out to Adam for any events, like he's mentioned, reach out, hit him up, because we've used him several times and never has let us down. So definitely a good recommendation. All right, guys. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I will see you in the gym.